I captivated and intrigued my son's friend until he yearned for freedom and gave in to his desires. Tales of betrayal welcome to the raw and unfiltered tales of secret passions. He stood so close, his breath wavering, his body electric with longing. I moved closer, allowing my lips to graze his ever so softly, my voice, a soft murmur laced with longing. This moment marks the start of something profound. Hi, I am Rachel, and today I will share the story of how I captivated my son's friend, drawing him into a world of longing until he was utterly enchanted, completely under my spell. It began as a simple spark, a fleeting moment I convinced myself was harmless. Arthur, my husband, had grown distant over time, and I longed for the connection we once had. The fire had dimmed, the looks had turned apathetic, and the warmth had vanished from the sheets. At 48, I radiated a captivating allure that defied time. It was a truth that lingered in the air, undeniable and intense, yet the one soul who should have felt its weight remained blissfully unaware. Then Simon stepped into my world. He was meant to be nothing more than my son's companion. He became a presence I couldn't ignore, a boy with whom I would share snacks and engage in gentle, meaningful exchanges. Yet, the instant our eyes met, a profound change stirred within me. He possessed a youthful vigor, a sculpted physique, and a striking charm that lingered in the mind. His strong jawline, tousled hair, and confident stance ignited a fire within me, stirring emotions I thought were long buried. I dismissed it as a fleeting notion, a mere whisper that any woman might catch in the depths of her heart. One evening, as I wandered past my son Richard's room, I caught snippets of their conversation, a moment that stirred something deep within me. Though I knew I shouldn't have been eavesdropping, the moment my son's voice uttered my name, an irresistible pull drew me in, igniting a whirlwind of emotions within me. I find myself at a loss, my friend. At times, I catch the echoes of my parents' heated exchanges, a reminder of the complexities that lie beneath the surface of their love. She constantly expresses her discontent, feeling that he fails to fulfill her deepest longings. Richard's voice carried a nonchalance, yet his words pierced through me with the intensity of a sudden storm. Simon let out a soft, knowing laugh. "Isn't it a bit surprising that your mom still cares so much about that?" A gasp escaped me, as if the very essence of my being was slipping away. My heart raced, but it wasn't fueled by rage. It was a shadowy allure, a thrilling risk that beckoned from the depths. I leaned against the wall, struggling to contain the warmth surging within me. He was able to see beyond the years. Could that truly be his perception? That night, I lingered before my mirror, tracing my curves with my fingertips, savoring the allure that still glowed from my skin. I was still so young that I was experiencing the pinnacle of my existence, and I was determined to show it. In that fleeting instant, I found clarity within the chaos of my heart. Simon was about to uncover the depths of my hidden passions. And the moment was merely the dawn of something profound. The morning sun poured through the curtains, casting a warm glow as I languidly stretched in bed, lost in a haze of longing and unspoken yearnings. Today, I planned to embark on my journey with a gentle touch, a whisper of intention, yet with a fierce resolve. I adorned myself in a gown that embraced my curves perfectly, the delicate fabric enhancing my silhouette while maintaining an air of subtlety. I yearned to exude an enchanting charm, subtle yet captivating, without revealing too much longing. As I entered the kitchen, I caught sight of Simon, lost in the simple act of pouring himself a cup of coffee, a moment that stirred something deep within me. His hair held onto the remnants of slumber, tousled and inviting, while his shirt embraced his sculpted form with an almost intimate familiarity. Absolutely exquisite. A soft smile graced my lips as I called out, "Simon, could you please lend me a hand for just a moment?" He turned, a flicker of astonishment crossing his face, then gave a slow, thoughtful nod. "Of course, I can do that. What is it that your heart truly seeks?" I gestured towards the uppermost shelf, where the jars of spices lay hidden, waiting to be uncovered. "Would you be so kind as to fetch me the cinnamon? It feels like that height is forever out of my grasp." As he approached, I hovered in a charged space, on the verge of crossing an invisible boundary. As he reached upwards, the contours of his body shifted beneath the fabric, and I found myself captivated by the sight. He took the jar and passed it to me, our fingers brushing against each other for a fleeting moment. "Thank you," I murmured, locking my eyes with his for a heartbeat longer than what felt appropriate. He swallowed hard, his gaze drifting into the distance, burdened by unspoken feelings. As we wrapped up our time in the kitchen, Arthur entered, his fingers deftly adjusting his tie, an air of unspoken tension lingering in the room. "I'll be away for a few days," he murmured, clutching his briefcase tightly. Journey into the unknown, and I masked my true feelings of longing. Oh, how unfortunate. It seems like it will only be me and my friends, sharing moments that stir something deep within. Arthur's lips brushed against my cheek, a fleeting touch that barely registered in the depths of my heart. "I'll reach out as soon as I touch down." And in an instant, he vanished from my life. The true journey was on the verge of unfolding. That evening, we gathered around the dining table, our conversation drifting into the depths of Simon and Richard's college experiences, tinged with an unspoken longing. The conversation danced playfully, weaving through tales of professors, assignments, and the allure of weekend escapades. "I can't help but feel like Professor Clark has it out for me," Simon said, laughter tinged with a hint of vulnerability. "With each paper I submit, he uncovers a flaw, a hidden imperfection that stings more than the last." Richard's laughter echoed, a sound tinged with a bittersweet longing, and oh, he simply demands an unattainable ideal. That's just who he is. In that moment, Richard's phone vibrated, breaking the stillness around him. "I have to take this," he murmured, rising from his seat and moving toward the patio, the weight of unspoken feelings lingering in the air. He experienced a moment of awakening. The fork slipped from my fingers, falling into the depths of my unspoken thoughts. It fell to the ground with a resonant crash, echoing the weight of unspoken feelings. "Oh, foolish heart," I whispered. I rose with a deliberate slowness, pulling my chair back just enough to offer Simon an unobstructed glimpse as I leaned down to pick it up. My gown moved with each step, exuding elegance and confidence that was alluring yet tastefully restrained. His gaze lingered on me, a subtle tremor in his breath that stirred something deep within. As I stood tall, our eyes locked, and a knowing smile danced on my lips. "Are you okay?" I whispered, moving nearer, my fingers lightly resting on his shoulder. He felt a tightness in his throat. "Yes, I'm okay. Do you truly believe that?" My fingers grazed his shoulder once more, hesitating in that fleeting moment before I finally withdrew. He breathed out sharply as Richard re-entered, blissfully ignorant of the charged moment that had just unfolded. As dawn broke, Richard quietly slipped away to tend to his errands, leaving Simon and me in the intimate solitude of the house. I felt an undeniable urge to explore the depths of my longing. I lingered in the bathroom, letting the crimson lace cascade over the towel as I summoned my voice into the air. "Simon, would you be so kind as to fetch me a towel?" I overlooked picking one up. In the stillness, his voice emerged, tinged with uncertainty. "Of course." In the stillness, his footsteps drew nearer, igniting a rush of unbidden feelings within me. As he approached the bathroom door, I seized the curtain and, with a purposeful gesture, drew it aside. Simon stood still, caught in a moment that felt both exhilarating and forbidden. His eyes held mine, a tumultuous mix of longing and surprise flickering within them before he abruptly turned his gaze elsewhere. He hesitated, his voice barely above a whisper. As he extended the towel, his gaze fixed elsewhere, avoiding the weight of the moment. A rush of warmth enveloped me as I accepted it, a secret thrill igniting within. "Thank you, Simon, for awakening feelings I thought were long buried." My voice flowed like silk, tinged with a playful allure. He whispered a few words, barely audible, before darting away, his emotions swirling in a chaotic dance. Once I completed my dressing, I discovered him in the sitting room, gazing at the television, yet seemingly adrift in his own reverie. I moved closer to him, settling beside him on the couch, the space between us charged with an unspoken tension. "Do you truly feel okay?" I inched closer, my hand resting gently on his knee, a spark igniting between us. His jaw clenched with unspoken longing. "Did I? Indeed." I drew closer, my lips brushing against his ear. "There's something beneath the surface, Simon, isn't there?" He breathed out with a mix of tension and longing, yet remained rooted in place. I leaned in, captivated by the contours of his expression. "Why did you look away when I was in the bath?" I inquired, my tone gentle yet playfully provocative. "Do you truly think I lack beauty?" His gaze shot to me, filled with a mix of surprise and longing. "You're the most enchanting woman I've ever encountered," he confessed, his voice trembling with unspoken longing. A sly smile crept across my lips. "Is that truly the case? Your words from just a few days ago tell a different story." Your voice reached me, his expression shattered, revealing a tumult of hidden feelings. "Oh, no," he whispered, his fingers grazing his nape, a mix of longing and regret swirling within him. "Rachel, I regret saying that. I never intended for it to happen." "Of course you did," I whispered softly against his ear, letting my tongue graze the delicate edge with a teasing caress. He inhaled sharply, a wave of tension coursing through him. I reclined just a bit, my gaze intertwining with his. "Your belief that I am unworthy of affection will return to haunt you, that I don't deserve the compassion I yearn for, will return to haunt you." As I began to pull away, his hand reached out, capturing my wrist with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "Forgive me, Rachel," he murmured, his voice a blend of tension and longing. "I'm pleading with you to end this torment." I inched closer once more, mere breaths away from his lips, tantalizing him with the allure of a kiss. "You have no power over the conclusion of this," I murmured, my breath lingering softly on his skin. "I will continue to haunt your thoughts until my yearning is fulfilled. And if fate smiles upon you, perhaps I shall bestow upon you a small token of my affection. Yet, if you find yourself unprepared, the consequences will be far more profound." His breath quickened, lips slightly parted as he leaned closer, consumed by an urgent longing, teetering on the edge of surrender. But just before our lips could touch, I drew back, a mischievous smile growing on my face. "No, charming one, you can't have the privilege of kissing me after labeling me as old." His frustration simmered beneath the surface, a tempest of unspoken longing. His hands balled into tight fists at his sides, a storm of emotions brewing within him. I leaned in one final time, my lips almost grazing his, igniting a spark of longing that felt both thrilling and dangerous. "Should any of these whispers find their way to my husband or my son's awareness, you will face grave consequences. Can you feel what I'm trying to convey?" His throat tightened, a subtle movement betraying the weight of unspoken longing. "Yes, Rachel," he whispered, a knowing look in his eyes. "Well done, my dear." A soft smile graced my lips as my fingers brushed gently against his jaw, a fleeting moment before I rose to my feet. "This moment marks the dawn of something profound." With that, I turned and walked back to my room, leaving him there, utterly exposed and vulnerable. The following morning, I took excellent care to create the perfect atmosphere. Richard had just set down his fork, the remnants of breakfast still lingering in the air, when I leaned in, my voice a whisper, and asked him to undertake a small errand for me. "My love, would you be so kind as to venture out and gather some groceries for us? We're running low on a few essentials," I said softly. He accepted it without hesitation. He had always been a devoted son, quietly nurturing a longing that simmered beneath the surface. Once Richard departed, I slipped into my most captivating swimsuit, a deep red bikini that embraced my curves in all the right ways. As I slipped into a delicate cover-up, I stepped outside to discover Simon by the pool, his shirt discarded, immersed in a world of his own. The sunlight danced upon his sculpted form, and a mischievous smile crept across my lips, aware of the thrilling path I was about to embark on with him. I moved closer to him, allowing my body to sway with an intoxicating rhythm. "Simon, you seem lost in thought, not swimming at all," I inquired with a sense of naivety, shedding my cover-up and arching my arms overhead, offering him an unobstructed glimpse of my formed, he felt a lump rise in his throat. Oh, I was merely lost in a moment of tranquility. I approached the shimmering edge of the pool, my heart racing as I let my foot break the surface. The water envelopes me in a blissful embrace, stirring something deep within. Come, let us explore this wonder together. He paused, yet I caught the fleeting glance of his gaze lingering on me before he averted his eyes. I find solace in this moment. I slipped into the pool, the refreshing water embracing me, a tantalizing contrast to the intensity of the moment. Today, I found myself drawn to the edge, where he lingered, a magnetic pull I couldn't resist. Embrace the moment. Let go of your hesitation. I promise I won't hurt you. I playfully taunted, my voice laced with a tantalizing allure. Simon ran a hand through his hair, a tempest of conflicting emotions swirling within him. I chose to delve deeper. I find myself pondering deeply. I lingered, letting my fingers glide softly over my shoulder and down my collarbone, captivated by the way his eyes traced my every motion. What made you turn your gaze away while I was in the bath yesterday? His breath became trapped in his throat. I was attempting to honor the boundaries. I perched on the edge of the pool, my gaze drawn to his legs, a playful smirk dancing on my lips as I looked up at him. Honorable, or filled with longing, he let out a heavy breath, a mix of longing and frustration swirling within him. Rachel, I beg you. This suffering is becoming unbearable. A soft laugh escaped my lips as my fingers danced along the rim of the pool, lost in a moment of languid reverie. My dear, I understand completely. That's the essence of it. In a moment of unguarded vulnerability, I emerged from the water, beads of liquid glistening as they cascaded down my chest. Please assist me. I extended my hand, a silent invitation filled with unspoken longing. He paused, yet an undeniable pull drew him closer to me. As he pulled me up, I lingered in the moment, allowing my body to brush against his for a heartbeat longer than needed. He stood still, caught in a moment that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. I drew closer, my breath brushing against his ear, as I whispered softly, "The situation isn't something you can control, Simon." "I do." He tightened his jaw, breath hitching, yet I could sense it all too clearly. He was utterly vulnerable to my whims. I smiled, gliding past him as if the moment had never existed, leaving him in solitude, aching and yearning for what could never be. This moment had been meticulously crafted in my mind. With Richard away on his errand, the air between Simon and me crackled with unspoken tension, a moment suspended in time where anything felt possible. I discovered him in the study, lost in the pages of one of Arthur's books, as if the words themselves were a secret he longed to uncover. Yet, I understood the unspoken tension, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the leather, his body coiled with anticipation. He was putting on a facade, desperately attempting to mask the turmoil within. I lingered in the doorway, allowing my robe to cascade gently off one shoulder. Delving deep into the pursuit of knowledge, I playfully stepped inside, the door clicking shut behind me, sealing away the world outside. He glanced up, his gaze brushing against me for a fleeting moment before hastily shifting away. As he sat there, a restless energy coursed through him, his words barely escaping his lips, laden with an unspoken longing that stirred deep within. I glided closer, my fingertips lingering on the desk surface, a subtle caress as I moved past him. It must be a struggle, I pondered, my voice dropping to a hushed tone. In this moment, I find myself enveloped in solitude. Simon felt a rush of tension, his fingers clenching the book as if it held the weight of his unspoken yearnings. The name Rachel stirs something deep within, a whisper of longing and uncharted feelings. I sat delicately on the edge of the desk, my legs crossing with a languid grace, the soft fabric of my robe inching higher along my thigh. I tilted my head, masking the tumult of longing beneath a facade of innocence. "What troubles you, Simon? Your demeanor appears somewhat strained." He gulped, his throat tightening with a mix of longing and trepidation. "This procedure is becoming quite a challenge for me." I leaned in closer, gently lifting his chin with my finger, compelling him to lock eyes with me. Oh my. A secretive smile played upon my lips, hinting at unspoken truths. I remember you telling me that my desires were no longer appropriate for someone my age. His throat tightened as he held his breath. Rachel, I never intended for it to come out that way. I found myself lost in a whirlwind of thoughts, words spilling out that felt utterly disconnected from my true feelings. I chuckled gently, my fingertips trailing delicately along his skin. I understand completely. Yet, I won't allow you to escape my grasp so effortlessly. He gasped softly as I drew nearer, my lips tantalizingly close to his ear. Reveal your truth to me, Simon. Do I still appear aged in your eyes? I breathed softly, my warmth lingering on his skin. As my fingers glided down his chest, I could sense the rapid rhythm of his heart beating beneath the fabric, igniting a spark of longing within me. No, he confessed, his voice trembling with unspoken longing. Your beauty leaves me utterly speechless. A sly smile crept across my lips as my fingers trailed downwards. Well done, I whispered softly. Now, let's explore how long you can hold back from me. He exhaled unsteadily, caught in the tumult of his deepening longing and the internal struggle that raged within him. But my journey of tormenting him was far from over. Not just yet. I reached for his tie, my fingers dancing over the fabric, teasingly loosening it with a slow, intentional motion. Do you still wish to maintain that facade of innocence? Or are you now ready to acknowledge the connection between us? He tightened his jaw, the walls of his control beginning to shatter right before me. His hands clutched the arms of the chair with a desperate intensity, the whiteness of his knuckles betraying the storm of emotions within him. I leaned in, our lips almost touching, tantalizing him with the allure of what he longed for but was still out of reach, at least for now. The present moment is merely the start, Simon. I murmured against his lips before retreating, leaving him gasping and yearning. And in that moment, I stepped away, fully aware that he was entirely captivated by me. As the days slipped by, our eyes would meet in fleeting moments, and our fingers would brush against each other in secret, each touch igniting a spark whenever Richard remained unaware. He was lost in a whirlwind of confusion, unaware of the tumultuous emotions stirring within him. The exhilaration of hidden truths intensified every moment. A thrill coursed through me, a reminder of my allure, as I reveled in the attention of a young man who hungered for my presence. Despite my husband's indifference, I felt powerful, igniting a longing that made him weak in the knees, pleading for more. The allure was overwhelming. It awakened a deep sense of vitality and empowerment within me, and I found myself unwilling, yet captivated, to relinquish that control or cease indulging in this tantalizingly forbidden game. The most captivating moment was witnessing the anguish reflected in his gaze and the way his body revealed secrets it longed to conceal, despite his attempts to fight against it. He desired me, and the awareness of it stirred something deep within me. Yet, I had no intention of allowing him to find it effortless, and I wanted him to feel the weight of his actions. I longed for him to desire me with an intensity that bordered on obsession. Then, on a hushed Tuesday morning, I felt an irresistible urge to delve deeper into uncharted territory. I stepped out of the bath. The intoxicating aroma of jasmine clung to my skin, awakening something deep within me. The house lay in a heavy stillness, broken only by the soft, almost secretive whisper of the air conditioning. Richard had slipped away to fetch something, leaving Simon and me in a moment suspended in time. Just the two of us once more. A secret smile danced on my lips. Absolutely exquisite. Simon, I whispered gently. He emerged with an air of urgency, his steps tinged with a delicate uncertainty, yet laced with a willingness to comply. His eyes revealed a tumult of emotions, a blend of anxiety and longing, a deep-seated yearning that could no longer be contained. I moved deliberately closer to him, keenly observing the flicker of emotions that danced across his face. He was utterly at my mercy, and the realization ignited a rush of exhilaration within me. He was entirely at my mercy, ready to fulfill my every whim. A surge of strength coursed through me. A wave of beauty washed over me. And I was on the brink of an exhilarating adventure. Which of these shall we choose? I pointed to the bed, where 3 exquisite pieces of lingerie lay waiting, in shades of red, white, and blue. What do you believe would suit me the most? His throat tightened as he struggled to breathe, his eyes darting between the delicate silk and lace laid out enticingly before him. His hands tightened at his sides, a silent battle raging within him, paralyzed by the weight of unspoken longing. Anyone would appear breathtaking beside you, he finally said, his voice thick with longing. I moved in, mere inches apart, my breath a tantalizing whisper against his cheek. Anyone, I breathed softly, my lips almost brushing against his ear. His breath caught in his throat. Indeed, Rachel, I smiled knowingly. Shall we indulge in a little game? I whispered, letting my finger glide softly along his arm. He felt a rush of conflicting emotions. There are 2 paths before you, so I pressed on. You can either caress my weary muscles with a tender touch. I drew nearer, my lips barely grazing his as I completed my thought, or you might catch a glimpse of me in something like this. His whole being trembled with a mix of longing and trepidation. Which choice tugs at your heartstrings? I whispered, my lips teasingly brushing against his. He breathed out sharply, his gaze deep and intense, revealing a struggle within him that he was fiercely attempting to restrain.
Eminência.
I believe it's time for me to make a choice.